Participant has entered the conference.
John Dalsimer.
The following participant has entered the conference.
John Dalsimer.
The following participant has entered the conference.
Jean Hurley.
The following participant has entered the conference.
Judy Moss.
The following participant has entered the conference. The following participant has entered the conference.
Joe Walton.
We'll add Pete Straub to that. I listened for a tone and I never heard it, so I didn't get my name.
And Ruth Walsh is here also. And Judy Moss is here. Jean Hurley. Oops, I'm sorry. Jean Hurley's here.
Joe Walton is here.
John Dalsimer is here.
So I guess we're waiting for Dan, right?
Dan and Bob Nicholson and Walt Boyer and Marlene.
Okay.
The following participant has entered the conference.
Dan Seeger. Oh, is anyone there?
Yes.
Practically.
Hello. Hello. This is Dan. I'm ready to take a roll call. It's 1 minute after the hour. So let me take a roll call and see if practically everyone is here. Walt Boyer? No. Jack Cumming?
Here.
Good. John Dalsimer? Here. Jean Hurley?
Here.
Judy Moss?
Here.
Bob Nicholson? Dan Seeger is here. That's me. Peter Straub? Here. Marlene Varner? Ruth Walsh?
I'm here.
Joseph Walton? Here. Great. So we're missing Marlene, Bob, and Walt.
Great.
So perhaps we'll give them another minute. We have a quorum. We could proceed, but maybe we should give them another minute.
Question. Did the agenda come and I didn't get it?
You should have gotten it. The agenda did come. Do you want me to mail it to you again?
Well, it's a
Wait.
little late.
Are you at your,
Well, wait.
at your computer?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I had to go to NaCCRA to get the agenda. It didn't come to me on my email.
Really?
No.
Oh.
It came July 29th on mine.
Jean, you had a new email address, and one time when I sent it bounced back, and then I sent something again which did not bounce back. So there was some confusion about your new email, but we'll straighten that out offline rather than talk like everyone else with it. Okay, why don't, friends, since the hour is 3 minutes after the appointed hour, why don't we begin and hope that Walt, Marlene, and Bob will join us. First of all, we've gotten the minutes. Jack has circulated.
The following participant has entered the conference.
Nicholson.
The following
Hi, Bob. This
participant
is
has
Dan.
entered the conference.
Walton Boyer. Hi, Walt. This is Dan. We're just about getting ready. We now have everyone. We now have everyone except Marlene.
Marlene may not be back yet. She was on a trip.
Right. I remember that. That's right. Thank you. We're about to.
Lifeline.
Pardon me?
Today is the deadline for Lifeline.
Yes. Why don't we begin by considering the improved minutes which Jack recently circulated? Are there any further comments about the minutes?
Well, I might
July
just,
2nd meeting.
yeah, I might just quickly comment that in response to a suggestion by Ruth, I gave people titles, like Mr. and Ms.
Okay. Is there a motion that we accept the minutes as circulated?
I move.
Joe Walton here. I just want to clarify if everybody's in agreement with respect to pursuing collaboration with other companies. Item F on that it seemed to me rather confusing, and it was unclear. And I've since heard from Walton and I think others saying that we should pursue this, and the idea of is fully supported by the board.
Is that a change to the minutes, or?
Well, it clarifies it.
The negative votes would seem to think that people were opposed to it, and actually, I felt that a stronger one was more appropriate. A stronger measure was more appropriate.
In other words, some of the negative votes, at least, were for a stronger pursuit of the option rather than against the option.
That is right. Yes, right.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay, so maybe what we want to do, since a vote was taken, maybe what we want to do is simply point out in the minutes of today's meeting, the understanding that the negative votes recorded in the previous minutes were not lack of enthusiasm for the project, but a wish for more aggressive pursuit of the goal.
So I'm in for that, at least for some of them. I don't know if we can say it for all of them, but for some of them.
I can find.
The votes.
Regardless, the motion passed, and
Right.
so
That's right.
what you're discussing is moot.
Right. I mean, but it does give a different spin, so to speak.
The motion
It doesn't.
passed. The motion
Yes, of
passed.
course.
Period.
Good. Of course, that's true.
I'll put something.
It's useful to know that the negative votes were not opposed to the motion, but were wishing for a stronger motion. I think it's good if we all understand.
I'll put something in the minutes.
And the alternative was to pursue this aggressively or allowed to develop naturally, and whatever develop naturally means is unclear.
Right. But we have the vote, so let's stick with the vote and just record this how should I say, this better understanding of what the negative vote, at least some of the negative votes meant. So, Jack, you caught that for the minutes.
I did.
The current
And
minutes.
does that or have we accepted the prior minutes? I didn't get who moved and who seconded.
Stroud moved to accept the minutes.
And who was that speaking?
Straub.
Okay, thank you, Peter. So Pete Straub has moved, and who has seconded? Walt Warner. Okay, Walt has seconded. And all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, so the minutes are accepted. Thank you very much, friends. That's great. Okay, now we've all... let me just say before we proceed with the agenda that I have had some comments from people about our meetings, our telephone meetings, and some of the difficulties involved. We'll be able, when we get to item 7, we'll talk about that a little bit more. I'll try to be more sensitive if I feel that someone has been silent for a very long time, to A, be sure they're still connected, and B, to be sure that they have a chance to get a word in edgewise if they haven't so far. So I'll try to do that as best I can. We've all received the Treasurer's report. Thank you, John. And we've all had time to look at it. John, can you report to us if you've gotten any questions or any concerns from board members?
I've gotten no questions. I'm more than happy to speak to the June financial statements. I really would like to have. I've got a few comments about the budget. But so, does anybody have questions? As you all recall, I sent out a showing assets and liabilities. I sent out a statement of activity, the variance and category, new category, and fund balances. And I received no questions, so I'm semi-assuming nobody has questions.
This Walt Boyer comment that I like the format very much. I felt it very understandable and clear. It's obvious that we have a default between our expenses and revenues, but I think everyone recognizes that and recognizes the problem, and we're working on it. So I don't have any other comment other than that.
One question I have: the budget for the year to date is for the period ending June 30th, one half the annual. Is that a fair way of reviewing progress to date? Is our budget such that it is spent and collected?
This Walt Boyer, one of the reasons I felt this much more clear is that as I saw both of those columns, and I understood what was going on a lot more clearly than I have in the past. Yeah, thank you.
But I guess Judy's question, I may be misinterpreting you, Judy, but I guess Judy's question is the income and expenses linear, so to speak, so that half the year represents half?
Let me interrupt you, Dan. The answer is no. I tried to explain, I thought in my memo, I went through, when preparing a budget linear for some things is fine, but for most things doesn't make any sense. And I went through the budget with Bennett, and I came up with, or we came up with, basically when income and when expenses are paid. And so the budget that, and I guess I could circulate that, but I think it was just more detail than anybody wants. The budget is not linear. The budget tries to track the way our history has been for the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay, so John, can you just summarize then for us what we should assume as a result of the figures that you've circulated? In other words, are we, I mean, we all know that our expenses are outstripping our income. Is the situation apt to be worse by the end of the year or slightly less bad?
Well, as Peter sort of said, we're all working on membership, and membership is where our revenue comes from. Each item, is sort of misleading because no expense for the meeting. And so there was no revenue, no expense. The 3 individual members, state associations, and community members have not kept pace for the last couple of years. Now, part of that is, and the life in the past, I believe there's been no deferral of life members, so that has some effect on the total also.
The pilot project, could you speak to that?
Judy has asked to speak to the pilot project.
Right. At this point, there's been no income or expense from the pilot project. Bennett had thought there would be something in June. I am assuming, hoping, at least on the income side, that there will be something in July.
But do I recall correctly that when we budgeted the first year of the pilot project, which is 2014, we expected it to be a wash? That is, we expected the expenses would and the income would be equal.
That's what we were. That was, I gather, what was expected.
Right. Okay. Are there any, before we turn to the budget for the future, the 2015, are there any more questions about the 6-month report that John has been describing for us?
I'll just note that our assets are down $8,000 from where they were in June a year ago. the assets at the end of June in 2013 was 38,000, and now we're down to 30,000. And that underscores the importance of generating new revenue or increasing membership.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
John, do you want to take us now to the proposal for 2015?
Yes, I probably want to speak to 2 or 3 items. The expenses are basically, they seem to be in line with basically prior year. Obviously a budget is an estimate. We can talk about expenses, but I really do want to talk about revenue because obviously that's our major issue. We currently, and I'll round the number a little bit, we have about 1,000 individual members. I said that in 2015 you'd have 1,500, and this is at the bottom of the budget, by the way. I figured we'd get 1,500 individual members at $20 a piece. That means most of the 1,000, if not all the 1,000, will renew, and we will get 500 or 600 new members. Let me tie that in with, we have 200, at the moment, 278 life members. I said we'd get an additional 200 additional life members. What is the board's feeling? Should those numbers be raised or lowered?
Who can tell?
Well,
they sound to me optimistic.
Well, okay, and I'm okay. At this point, the good part is I budgeted a quote profit, if you'll pardon the word,
right,
of about $7,500. I'm not trying to be over optimistic, and if you think I should say, just 1,000 new members, that would actually make a significant difference. But how many? We have about 1,000 members. Can we expect that most of those people will renew and we'll pick up 500 new ones, or should I say 1,200 individual members? What is the board's feeling is realistic?
John, are the new members apart from the pilot project? Are the pilot project going to be state members, or are they going to be individual members?
I'm assuming, and that's a notice, I'm assuming they'll be individual members. So, and I haven't put anything, I've ignored the pilot project for next year because I'm assuming anybody who joins under the pilot project will hopefully, again, if we get whatever X number we get from the pilot project, I'm hoping that they will renew. People tend to renew memberships for most organizations.
Well, then,
so it would be
going from 1,000 to 1,500 members is reasonable.
Okay, that was my feeling, and I felt
based on the pilot project.
Okay, we obviously at the moment, if you add life members and individual members together, we've got about 1,050. That would say that next year we would end up the year with 1,700.
Well, we're a little higher than that on our membership now. As of August 5th, we had 1,038 annual members. We have 288 lifetime members, and most of that money from that group has already been spent. But collectively, as of this week, we have 1,325 total members, annual and lifetime. Just a 25% increase would be pretty challenging, it seems to me. But sounds like we're talking really to balance the budget, we have to get 150% increase, 50% increase.
50% increase.
1,300 to 1,700 is actually not 50%, but obviously I'm making the assumption each board member and hopefully some other people are working on getting us new members. I mean, if 1,500 and 200 seems like too many, I can reduce it and reflect that in the budget. I mean, again, a budget is a guesstimate. All of us are guessing. I combined the project and our current individual membership, and I thought 1,500 was possibly doable. If you, with people who are comfortable with 12 or 1,300 individuals and 200 life members, or is that too many life members?
John, can I interrupt just to ask, when you're considering the new life members, you're only considering 1/10 of the income for the year in question, right? In other words, we are using the. Okay.
Yes, I defer. If you'll notice, under life members for the current year, there's $1,000 in income. Well, if 200 people join at $200, we get $4,000, whatever it is.
Right, got it. Well, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I'm certainly willing to go along with your estimates on growth.
Okay, and obviously we will all watch it because I will be chairing, and there does need to be a membership report, probably periodic, if not weekly, so we will see how we are doing. Now, the next item I'm probably wrong on, and I sort of realized it afterward. We currently have 8 association members, and I said we'd increase it to 10. But for experience, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are no other state associations.
What about California?
California is permanently, for the time being, California is not going to join us.
All right, hang in there. Okay. As far as having more state associations, it means we will have fewer members because Florida has 13,000 members, but they're not members of NaCCRA. If we have another state association that goes the way of Florida, we will not have individual members from that state. They will all be state association members.
Okay, but there are 300 and some individual members from Florida.
Right, and we have no idea whether they are members of FLACRA or not. But we know that there are something like 13,000 FLACRA members who are not members of NaCCRA.
But, Judy, I know where the members from Florida have been gotten, and I know the members of John Knox Village. I would wager that every member of FLACRA of NaCCRA from Florida is a FLACRA member.
Right.
I mean,
I guess, John,
but not vice versa. The FLACRA members are not NaCCRA members.
That's right.
That's one of the things I'm working on, and there are other people working on. So I guess my real question is, I have the feeling that maybe I should just assume there'll be 8 state associations next year who will renew. If we add
I think that's right. I think that's right, John, because since other state associations don't yet exist, it's unlikely that we'll have a huge growth in 1 year.
Okay. Now,
so I think we should assume the same number of state associations.
Right. And John, I suggest that whether you assume 500 new individual members or whatever figure you use, I would suggest you assume that 1 out of 5 of those new members will be a life member. That's the profile now of our membership when you break it down between annual memberships and lifetime. 1 in 5 is likely to be a lifetime member. And that's a reasonable assumption, I think, in projecting additional revenue growth that's going to flow from 250 new members or 500 new members, whatever it is that you count on. And then 1/10 of those will be generating revenue for the next calendar year.
Right.
Okay. Now,
Are you able to tell me what communities are members?
okay, I want to move on to the last item is community associations. As from the last meeting, you may recall, we talked about chapters. Well, I've read the bylaws very carefully. I started to write something on chapters, and as far as I can tell, and I must admit, I'm partially using the John Knox Village chapter. NaCCRA is a state association. And Judy's right, we don't know where their 13,000 members are, but they're not members of NaCCRA. And look, we've got to move forward and make sure that state association or community association understand that John Knox Village Chapter 26 is a member of NaCCRA. None of their members are members of NaCCRA. Okay. As I read community associations, they're really chapters. They're exactly what falls under what I've understood chapters are. We currently have 38 community associations. Is it reasonable that their CCRCs, who have resident councils, or whatever they call it, but I think you all know what I mean by resident councils, are there, that those, I'm assuming for the moment those 38 will be new. Will we be able to pick up 12? My estimate was we'd pick up 12 more for a total of 50.
That sounds reasonable.
Sounds reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah. Are the community association members individual members of NaCCRA as well?
No. What we've got to make plain for any state association, and in my opinion, this is, and I don't know what the past has been. That's why I'm repeating this. That state associations and community associations are in effect I don't want to use they're one member. So NaCCRA is one member of the state association.
That is why
John Knox Village is one member of the 38 community associations. The 900 members of John Knox Village chapter and the 13,000 members of NaCCRA are not members of NaCCRA. We've got to get them to be members of NaCCRA.
And that's going to take some education on the part of one and all.
And that's why in Channing House we did not form a community. We're just individual members.
Well, okay. And a resident association may not want to join and pay $200, but maybe 100 of their members we can convince to join. And we clearly just that.
Okay, just before I ask for a motion, I want to pause and see if there's anyone who we haven't heard from about budget issues who's been trying to say something and hasn't been able to. Can we just pause and listen if anyone wants to say something?
Bob Nicholson here.
Go ahead, Bob.
Earlier, we had talked about, and you had pointed out that we're a 501c3, and we have the ability to solicit major gifts, and I seconded that motion, and I'm hoping that some of the financial gurus, like we've been hearing speaking, might come together and let's put out an appeal in mid to late October that would hit up in the Thanksgiving season asking, for example, our life members for a year-end gift for tax purposes that would benefit NaCCRA and help us over a large hump so we can get to the next effective level of work.
Yes, I'm assuming that our action at the last meeting has allowed us to plan for a fall fundraising appeal in addition to the usual dues collection. Thank you for mentioning that, Bob. Is there anyone else who hasn't spoken who we would like to hear from? Okay, well, I think the gist of the conversation is that we... I'm sorry.
Summarize very quickly.
Yes, go ahead.
The only change at this point I'm going to make at the budget is I'm going to change the state associations from 10 to 8, and that will be, obviously, that's 2 at $500, so our, quote, net income will be, is possibly be $6,455 instead of $7,400. And obviously, if we can reduce the membership, if each of us are successful in recruiting new members, 2015 could be at least a profitable year.
Okay. Thank you for that summary, John. Is there a motion that we approve the treasurer's report and the budget?
So move, Walt Moyer.
Second, Straub. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much, John. Thank you for your good work as treasurer and for your good explanation.
Let me thank the board for your confidence and support, and let's get the message.
Great. Thank you. Let's turn our attention to plans for Nashville. We know that we will have a face-to-face board meeting on Saturday, October 25th, and that will run through the afternoon and the evening. Yes.
Correction. You got the wrong date.
I'm sorry. Saturday is not the 25th?
No, wrong Saturday.
18th. It's the wrong Saturday. It's
okay, thank you very much.
It's the 18th.
It would be the 18th.
I'd like you to be there, Dan.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just opening up my calendar, and I see that I indeed do have myself booked for the 18th. Good. Okay, I'm very sorry, friends. So let me
restart
change
my
that.
heart.
Do you have a time?
I haven't announced the time yet. But I'm tentatively thinking that we may meet for about maybe sort of like from 2 to 5 in the afternoon and from 7 to 9 in the evening or something like that. We get about 5 hours of meeting in that day. And Sharon Sullivan is willing to reserve a room for us at the convention center. I'm going to give her the go-ahead after this meeting. And, of course, I'll work with you all in developing an agenda for our face-to-face meeting. We should try to make the best use possible of the face-to-face meeting. There will be some guests there, but I think we can have a very fruitful meeting, face-to-face meeting on that Saturday. The correct Saturday is the 18th. On Sunday morning, again, Sharon Sullivan will reserve an appropriate space for us to have a meeting of all the residents who will be at the leading age, all the residents, whether they're NaCCRA members or not, all the residents who are at the leading age meeting will be invited to program on Sunday morning. And one of the things we want to do right now is to discuss the content of that. But let me just go on and say there'll also be a luncheon which will be hosted. The food will be provided by leading age, and one of the things we should do today is decide what we want to have occur at that luncheon. And then the last thing we want to talk about is the booth. So why don't we go back to Sunday morning. Jack, could I turn to you? You have been giving some thought to the program for Sunday morning, and I'm wondering if you could just refresh us with what your thinking has been so far. It involved Catherine Pearson and you and me, I think.
Well, actually, I don't think I had been giving a lot of thought to it, but I believe that Catherine Pearson is going to be there now. You just mentioned lunch. I think she'd be a good lunch speaker. The program for the morning, to be honest, I haven't given any thought to it. If I just think off the top of my head, I think the area of interest that has been surfacing most forcefully of late is the spread of the financial impairments. And I think Jennifer Young will be there, so she would have some first-hand experience to share. I don't know how that gets formed into something, but just my feeling.
Let me. Catherine recently wrote an article about financial impairment, and Jennifer, if she were present, could kind of give some sort of first-hand account of what the experience has been. Maybe Connie Maselli, I don't know if she plans to be there or not, but Connie Maselli from Amsterdam and Harborside, which recently went from financial impairment to bankruptcy. Maybe we could have two testimonies, and then maybe Jack, since you've been giving a lot of thought to FASB and GAAP and all this kind of stuff, maybe between those three things, Catherine giving something which doesn't require of her an extensive new preparation because she's already written an article, Catherine, and then two testimonies, and then you as some kind of a wrap-up, might be a very good morning program.
Well, we could certainly do that. I think Gerard Highland is also likely to be there. And
he would be very good also on this issue.
Yeah, so I think you've got, and I like the idea of using residents. I think that, but first, does everybody agree that this financial impairment question is the topic of the day?
Bob Nicholson here. I'm trying to picture people that I've convinced to come from the West Coast, particularly the Northwest, to the NaCCRA meetings. And I'm trying to think what is a motivator for people that don't know what NaCCRA is and what we do in advocacy. And I just wonder if there's not a more appealing umbrella under which we could say one of the main challenges that we face, along with three other things, is this financial impairment, something that would cause a person to travel to Nashville and come to the meeting saying, boy, I really want to know about that. I'm on the resident council and I'm new, and what makes for effective resident engagement, because you can't get to financial impairment until you have resident engagement, understanding that you need to understand financial impairment.
The other thing is that if all residents are invited, which they will be, these are in addition to CCRC residents, there are people who are senior housing and this kind of thing. So you're going to have a kind of a buffet of things that are going to interest those guys as well, because they're not all going to be CCRC people.
Well, I think.
This is Jean. Let me ask you this. Leading Age has put in their catalog that just came out a meeting from 9 to 12 for residents, and this is not a NaCCRA meeting, and I'm wondering.
Where do you see that, please?
I think that is a NaCCRA meeting.
No, it's not a NaCCRA meeting.
Where did you see it, please?
Leading Age.
Page 60 in the brochure on the annual meeting.
Page 60.
Page 60, hang on just a second, let me get there.
And that's a leading age event for staff people. That the first one that's highlighted there is a gathering for staff people that are affiliated with single site facilities like Seabury.
Great.
Yeah, no, that's not the one I'm looking at. Let's see, Sunday, October 19th, 8 to 12, Leadership Deep Dive. That's not it.
There's one, as Joe said, on page 60, and it says Single Site CCRC Network. Join your fellow Single Site CCRC colleagues.
That's it, yeah.
And unique opportunity to network.
To network, share ideas, and
But
solutions.
now, you've got to understand, what we're opening up here to everybody on Sunday morning are all residents, and that will be the luncheon as well. So,
But what I'm asking, my question is that the single site CCRNE network that's scheduled by Leading Age it's not sponsored by NaCCRA. NaCCRA's not mentioned.
No, it isn't. It's a separate thing. It's not. I don't think the single site CCRC network is intended for residents.
No, it's not. But there's a room for some confusion here. First, historically, this is Jack. but historically, Leading Age has not publicized NaCCRA's meeting at all on
That's
the,
absolutely
the
right.
brochure, and I'm guessing they're continuing that. So I don't think, although they set aside a room and time for us, I don't think they inform their members, although their members would be perfectly welcome to come, and they don't inform other conference attendees who might go by the brochure. Now, they do have and do include in their brochure what they call sort of networking for residents, and what I don't know what time that is. They did indicate.
That's what you're looking at. That's what Dean's talking about.
Well, if that's their meeting, that's one that the Leading Age Cabinet on consumers, the Consumer Engagement Cabinet, puts together. They have a program. That was the program that began with the Jane Fonda movie in Denver, and that would totally usurp the NaCCRA meeting. So it may be that if they've taken over the time that they were going to give us, then we might have a conflict at that point.
Let me, before we wander around in the darkness here, let me just tell you about my recent conversation with Sharon Sullivan, which was this morning. This Sunday, October 19th, on page 60, is not meant, although the word network repeats, it's not intended for residents. Now,
why do you say that?
Because it's intended for the constituency of Leading Age. It's not intended for residents. Sharon,
residents can't attend. They're not barred.
No, you can attend.
Yeah.
residents can attend anything. Residents can attend anything.
Yeah, and believe me, if this is the equivalent of the Jane Fonda meeting in Denver, this is one we don't want to miss. We want to attend this one. We all want to be there.
Yep. I don't think it's the same.
If it is, we don't want to miss it.
It says
the Jane Fonda meeting. The Jane Fonda
Point of order. I'd like to give Dan the floor to finish what he understood from Sharon to be the terms of the rooms and the programs that we need to decide. Please, everyone, give him your attention.
In the first place, the Jane Fonda video was shown at a residents meeting, not at a meeting of everybody at Leading Age. Sharon Sullivan is assuming that we are going to have a meeting of all the residents who are present. That is, a meeting of all the residents who are present will be invited to a meeting that we will hold on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And she will reserve a room for us to do that. She also told me, not this time, but some time ago, that she would give us an email list of all the residents who were registered so that we could invite them to our meeting on Sunday morning. This is what Sharon Sullivan said to me, for whatever it's worth. Now, the other thing she said to me, when I spoke about the disparity between the luncheon meeting in Denver and the luncheon meeting in Dallas, where one had a program and the other did not, her explanation to me was that the feedback they had gotten after Denver was that the residents wanted time for informal networking, and that the luncheon that had nothing happening at it that so bewildered us in Dallas was their attempt to let us network. Sharon and I, let me finish. Yeah. Sharon and I have agreed that we here in this meeting will decide what we want to do with this luncheon, and she's willing to provide a facilitator if we want one, or she's willing to let us preside at this luncheon if we want to. The only thing I haven't been able to confirm satisfactorily with Sharon, to my satisfaction, is the fact that they're going to make the list of attendees available to us. We did that by telephone several months ago. I tried to follow with an email, and my email bounced back, and there was a long bit of confusion. And I was just speaking to her on the phone when she was on in an airplane this morning, and we got cut off when I wanted to, just as I was trying to confirm that she's going to allow us to have the email address list of every resident who's registered registered at the conference so we can invite them to our Sunday morning
That
thing.
would be great.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm.
Yeah, I am not happy about our setting up a 9 to 12 meeting when Leading Age has a 9 to 12 meeting that we should be attending.
Well, if you want to attend it, you may go ahead and do it, but we need to have a meeting of residents, and there's no way there aren't going to be conflicts. There's another conflict that involves residents on that Sunday morning, and that's something called Hackfest. There are 15 residents.
Yeah, but this is a
15
single site.
residents are engaged in Hackfest. So
The 9 to 12 meeting is a CCRC meeting. It's a continuing care resident community meeting, and that is not one we should set up another kind of meeting so that people have to decide which one they're going to go to. We should all go to the 9 to 12 meeting that Leading Age is setting up. If we want to have a NaCCRA meeting that's open to everybody and get speakers and everything, it should not be Sunday morning.
Well,
9 to 12. We should all be going to this one.
I think
You
we,
specify what this one is on what page?
It's on page
It's on
60.
page 60.
Second column.
CCRC network.
this is,
Site, CCR network?
Right.
Yes.
yeah, I think this is Jack.
That's for providers, not for residents.
Yeah, this is,
No, it's
well,
not provider.
oh,
These
we're getting,
meetings are open to all attendees of the conference. No CE credits are provided. But
Yeah,
nonetheless, they are for parts of the Leading Age.
okay, this
In other words, residents can
CCR
attend
colleagues.
anything.
Yeah.
Residents can attend anything. Now,
Yeah.
Gene, if you feel this is so compelling, you can go to it, but I don't want to give up an opportunity to meet with
Well,
CCRC
Dan,
residents.
if I may.
CCRC residents meeting.
It is
Hello,
not
can I get in a word?
the providers meeting.
It's not providers, it's anybody.
Okay, can I get in a word?
From a CCRC.
Anybody in the same sense that anything is anybody.
Yeah, that's right. I can go in, Mike, so can the CEO of this, of Westminster Canterbury.
Okay.
But that's the one we should all be going to, because
Okay.
it's the CCRC networking meeting.
Judy has said it 3 times. Please let us, the rest of us, have a chance.
Yeah, I'd like to,
We need to have a NaCCRA meeting on Sunday morning.
Yes, we
and
do.
we need to plan a program that will invite residents who will come and be motivated to be there.
The
this,
other issue you got to, because time is of the essence, you got to know on Sunday at 1 o'clock, so we've got to meet and eat before 1 o'clock, because then the Leading Age conference begins with the gospel concert and then the general session.
Okay.
So everything is
Okay.
geared around all of that, so you're going to have to really figure the time sequencing. And
hello, can somebody else talk?
Walt Boyer, I'd like to say a few words.
Okay, now, when you finish, can I have a word?
Okay. So Walt is going to speak first and Jack second. Go ahead. Walt.
Well, all right, I've read through this, and my interpretation is 2 things. One, it's primarily for CCRC officers and executives, primarily. It's going to be a series of roundtable discussions at tables. So if residents go, they're going to have to pick which table they want to go to, and they won't know the subject at that table because there's no announcement ahead of time. I think that in that description of the session, it's not for residents. It's for the professionals who care for us in our CCRCs to discuss among themselves. We should go ahead with our regular meeting at 9 o'clock.
I agree.
Okay,
Okay.
this, I think I finally got the floor. I understand Jean's frustration. She'd like to be everywhere, and the nature of a conference like this is that in every time slot there are many sessions which would be of interest, and we'd all like to attend them. However, we're piggybacking on Leading Age's meeting. Sharon Sullivan has been working with Dan to accommodate us, and I think we should defer to Leading Age. They've indicated that this is the appropriate time for us to meet, and the other meeting they've indicated is of less interest for us. and I think we ought to listen to them. I don't understand why we're second-guessing leading age and deciding where we're going to all show up as a group. I just don't understand that.
Let me ask you this. Are they suggesting that we...
John, can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Yes, John, go ahead.
I'm not going to be in Nashville. I've not said a word till now because I've been listening, but I'm speaking to number 7 on the agenda. Very few people identify themselves, and I can guess who's talking, but I've been listening, and I have been sort of confused because I don't always know who's talking.
Okay, thank you, John. I'll try to make it clear. If I know who's talking, I'll try to make clear who it is. Now, I'm back on the track that we're trying to define. We're going to have a meeting of residents, including NaCCRA members, on Sunday morning. This has been the plan every year, and it's been the plan all along. And we're going to have this meeting, and we're trying to decide the content of the meeting. We have a proposal from Jack that we look at financial impairment. Bob has pointed out that that might not be quite magnetizing for people coming from afar, and that we maybe ought to have a more diverse agenda. I was going to wonder, Bob, I don't know what you think about this, but whether the Bill of Rights would be something to add to it that would be more enticing to people if we had something that was both Bill of Rights and finances, or some way of...
Well, I think that let me answer Bob Nicholson. Yes, we need to lead with something positive. Resident engagement is the secret to the success of your CCRC. Resident rights is a step toward that success. Come and join in that conversation, and we will talk about how we get there and some of the barriers, such as the financial impairments.
Does that sound good to people?
Well, this is Jack. I think you instead of saying financial impairment, you can reverse it and make it a positive. You know, what you need to be financially strong. But since the people, hold on, can I finish? The people coming from Seattle, the Mirabella in Seattle, as you know, is financially impaired. And so I think those people will have an interest in that question.
Good. Okay, well, I'm going to assume, friends, let me see if this will work. I think Bob, and the conversation is being recorded, so Jack will have this at hand. Bob has given us a very good kind of handle around which to organize the Sunday morning event. Between Jack and Catherine Pearson and myself for the Bill of Rights, and two residents, maybe Connie Maselli and Jennifer Young, that will put together a program. The officers will put together a program for that Sunday morning that hopefully will be attractive. And I'll have to double check with Sharon Sullivan to be sure that we're going to have access to the emails of all the registrants, all the residents who are registrants, so we can get them there.
Dan, this is Bob.
Go ahead, Pete.
Because we're close to Washington, we've had a number of speakers from Leading Age. I've got to tell you that if we could get Stephen Mogg to come and give us a half hour or 20 minutes on the future of CCRCs, it is very enlightening and very worthwhile. What he talks about is the difference in generations, and we've got a generation coming up that doesn't share the thinking and the philosophy of the existing seniors as they are now.
In addition to that, this is Jean, we have always, through the years, had a leading age speaker at our annual meeting. And I think it's a mistake not to continue to do that. I think we need that connection.
This is Ruth here. I just wanted to interject that I asked both Larry Minix and Steve Mogg to speak in April, and they had other engagements, and they were sorry, but they couldn't come. So it's not that I didn't try. Yeah, I know.
Well, the thing is, we're going to have, in Nashville, we're going to have plenty of time to hear leading age people. We're going to have 3 or 4 days to hear leading age people. I think my own point of view is that this is a chance to get people understanding that there is a consumers organization, NaCCRA, as well as a providers organization, Leading Age. So although I'm sure, Pete, that Larry Mag has very interesting things to say about the future generation, I'm just hoping that this is our one. We have such a membership crisis that we can do something on this Sunday morning which attracts people to NaCCRA and doesn't distract them with other organizations like Leading Age.
Hey, Dan, this is Bob Nicholson. Since Sharon Sullivan said, give us your ideas of what you'd like at the Leading Age luncheon that we're putting on, why can't we say we'd like Steve Mag to be the speaker on the future of CCRCs and do just what Peter said? That would be a draw to the that would be a draw to the luncheon, and
right.
The resident engagement and Bill of Rights would be a draw to the 9 o'clock resident meeting.
Pete, what do you think of that?
Sounds good.
Okay. How can we wrap? This has been a very useful discussion. How can we sort of wrap these ideas up in a motion? Is there a
Can I say something before the motion,
yes,
please?
of course. Please, go ahead, Julie.
You talk about Sharon giving you the list of names. I don't like that. I think you could give her the message that you want sent out and let her send it out without you getting the list of names, which gets into a privacy question.
I think that's right.
I totally disagree. We've got to have the names and extend the invitation. And it might be a privacy issue. She can say no, but
Make it terrible.
Okay, well, I'll try. Let me try. I'll ask Sharon. I'll ask Sharon if she can send me the list of names. I suspect she will not want to do that, but if I give her a message to circulate to them, that would be the second route. I don't know how to exactly wrap this up in a motion. I think we have
you want a motion? I'll give you a motion.
Go ahead, Bob.
All right, I move that the 9 o'clock meeting of residents be focused on resident engagement, leading to a discussion of the Bill of Rights and financial soundness as a component, and that the luncheon Leading Age provides be focused on the current and future of CCRCs with Steve Mag as the guest speaker.
Is there a second?
Second, Walt Boyer.
This is Pete Schraub. I think it's okay to have such a motion, but my idea was you guys have heard, the executive committee have heard all the comments, and I would leave it up to you because maybe Steve Mag is not available. I don't know. But, I think you all have the information and the thinking that everybody has, and I'm perfectly content to let you take it from here. I don't know that we have to take your hands or tell you what to do.
This is John, and I would second that thought. It was a good discussion. I don't know why there's a need for a motion.
Okay. That's fine. So why don't we? So we've had the good discussion. We know the direction we're going in. This has really been very helpful, everyone. And let's now just turn to Ruth to tell us about the booth.
Wait, before we leave that, has the motion been withdrawn by the people who proposed it?
Oh my! Can't we just make it a Quaker thing?
By consensus?
The sense of the motion, the sense of the meeting was that we do something.
Exactly.
Okay. Good. Okay.
So we're empowering the executive board.
So I'm gonna dissolve the motion in a Quaker fashion. Okay, go ahead.
There you go. That's why we have you here.
Okay. So now Ruth, you'll tell us about the booth.
All right. The booth is going to be set up, and we have a 10 by 10 booth, and I hope I've explained to everybody. The Leading Age has made us, they did last year, a very beautiful banner, which we will put up. But they put it up for us, they take it down for us, and all we got to do is be there with a 10 by 10 with a table, what have you. We're going to there are 4 people who are kind of like in charge. Bob Nicholson, because of the membership. I will be there. I lost the name. Anyway, there'll be 4 of us that are going to have name tags, so we can begin to set the thing up, and we can set that up sometime Saturday or Sunday or Monday morning. So in any case, it's going to be in an aisle that I hope will lead to where the food is, so that when people come down to get their luncheons, we can attack them as they go down the aisle, either with full bellies or with empty bellies, and really talk to them, and which is what we have done in the past. And because half the people haven't got a clue what NaCCRA is, and so that's one of our big issues, is to talk about us. So the exposition hall is open 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and a pretty good chunk of time from like 11:30 until 3. So we'll probably need people to spell us as we go along, and I'll set that all into motion. Is there anybody who would be really anxious to assist, or because what happens is you got to really extend yourself out. You got to be able to get up, follow them down the aisle, and all that good stuff. So I really need energetic people who would be willing to energize those days.
Maybe we'll recruit the board members by email. Is that okay?
Sure will. That'll be perfect. And, we will try to spell you out so you're not going to be too long. But you eat and you meet and you greet, and it's a ball.
Right.
And in addition to that, bring your empty bag, because you're going to get all kinds of goodies on the way down the aisles.
What about the reprint of the trifold and the bookmark?
Yes, we're, on the table as handouts, we're going to have the reprint of the trifold brochure, as well as the paper, as well as the bookmark. We also, if you have any interesting state newsletters, chapter newsletters, we can get those so that we can have those to hand out, so that they're handouts. And if you can find any freebies anywhere, jelly beans or whatever, just to entice people to come and see us, that would also be nice. So we're kind of going to extend ourselves out with our biggest smile. But I'll keep you all posted on how we're going to do this time-wise.
Thank you for being willing to organize our booth again, Ruth. That's really great.
I have such a good time doing it that it's not a problem.
Great.
And I'll be there to keep it on. John Dan, before you get off of Nashville, I want to get back to Gene's point about where we need to be. And one of the membership challenges, and we're going to have for every board member at the Saturday meeting, 10 packets they'll have that they can use when they go to coffee, lunch, an educational session, the bathroom, wherever. And for example, on page 41, reducing conflict, tools for community living, the description of that program is where we should have, for example, a couple of NaCCRA people with literature, because the way you reduce conflicts is by having significant resident engagement. And I'd like Jean, she has such an eagle eye, is to go through this and see strategically where do we really need to have NaCCRA people with information to give to those in the educational sessions.
Okay. And while I'm just doing that, I did send to each one of you, and I hope you received it, a little sample of the trifold brochure and the bookmark with a request that you let me know how many of these brochures and letters that Jack's going to prepare for you. I think Stone Ridge has said that they will duplicate letters, they will mail the letters on them, and so that's a great help, because we're not going to have that expense. But I need to have reasonable numbers. I think probably 100 is a reasonable number of each one. And that way, if there's anything else that has to be duplicated later, we can do it. But I can't, because Stonehenge is also going to mail the stuff out for us. We really need to have reasonable numbers to give you. So if you'll just, on the email, just let me know about the numbers of brochures, of bookmarks, and these introductory letters that that Bob has. We should be in pretty good shape. Just give me numbers if you would.
Terrific. Friends, we've been doing this for about an hour now. I'm hoping that if people can withstand it, we can keep going for another 15 minutes and handle these last three items. You all received the communications between NaCCRA and CalCRA. I don't know if there's anything we need to do or say at this point. We failed to close the gap between NaCCRA and CalCRA so as to bring them back into the fold, but I think the correspondence indicates there's a cordial feeling and that we have something to build on for the future, but the job isn't done yet. That's the only way I can summarize it. I don't know if anyone else has any observation or comment they want to make about it.
This is Walt Boyer. I'd like to make one quick comment. I think that it might be worthwhile for you to send a response back that essentially says we haven't ourselves necessarily been agreeing with leading age or the CCRC executives themselves on a number of issues, and some of them include the issue of the resident rights that we're pursuing, the model laws that we're pursuing, in our response to the leading age proposal for an arrangement between us. I think those are very good examples of the fact that we have tried to maintain our independence, even though we are cooperating, let me put that way, with leading age and with the CCRCs and activities in which we have a mutual benefit. If I were doing it, I might be even pugnacious enough to say at the end that people who stand on on big statues need to be careful because sometimes they fall over.
Right. Go for it, Walt.
Truly true.
Dan, I will send you an email with a little more depth on this.
Good.
Sure. This is
Okay, do people agree that maybe I should, instead of just dropping it, I'll just send something back? I won't try to debate, but I'll send something along the lines that Walt has suggested, indicating where we've asserted independence and saying that we look forward to future dialogue and hope that someday we'll be part of the same operation again, or something like that.
And this has happened during my tenure as well, and Jack Cumming was really great in trying to meet the intermediary, but they talk about rigid. So we'll see how it goes.
this is Jack. I support a short response. They're aware of everything that Walt just talked about, and it's been shared with them on many different levels. And right now, they have a legislative proposal going through that they're working in exact harmony with Leading Age California on. So so there's no, this is just a personal thing that goes back many years, and we'll just let it be, and let's be friends with them and cover them with love.
Exactly.
Right.
And maybe
so Jack, you're supporting a loving response.
Exactly. I think that's the way to go.
And tactful beyond the measure.
Right. A loving and tactful response, and
tell us about what they're doing with Leading Age California too. We'd be interested in that.
Yeah.
What you want? Yeah. Well, I didn't.
Tell us about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean now, but I mean in writing in an article.
That would be a good one.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
I mean for NaCCRA Lifeline.
Right.
Yeah, they.
Let me make a note of that.
So you're saying have them report on how they work to compromise with Leading Age California on the resident on boards issue. That's the issue. It's that Leading Age California has agreed with them to support a law that there be a resident on the board.
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
It's one of my colleagues used to say, when you have a lemon, make lemonade, so maybe we could do that.
Right. Good. That's great. Okay, let's move on. If it's agreeable, we'll move on to... I just want to be sure, has anyone trying to say something that hasn't got a chance to say it Okay, so I'm going to move on to number 6. I have to admit, although April seems like a long way away, since I presume I'm going to have to be the one to sort of mainly be the maestro of this April meeting, I'm worried that we don't know where this meeting is going to be, and I'd like to sort of get that pinned down so I know what direction I'm heading in. On the one hand, we've had a suggestion that except for the last 2 years, we've always met in the Washington area in connection with a leading age lobbying effort. And that's, so that's one suggestion.
Necessarily been there.
Pardon me?
Yeah, we have not necessarily been there as a contingent because we've often had our spring meetings at other communities.
At other places.
Yeah.
So Washington is one proposal, and the other proposal is that we may want to coordinate with an NAIC meeting.
But that's powerful.
And then the third proposal was to have it here in Philadelphia, simply because this is where I am. And if I'm going to be organizing it, it just makes it a little easier. But that's not really that important. So, does anyone have anything to say in terms of what we should be doing in April, where we should be?
Well,
you want to talk about this NAIC thing? Is that important or
well, let me
useful?
I can talk to that.
Okay.
At this point, we're ignored by the NAIC, and so we'd have to start by getting their attention. I don't know that our having a meeting there at this stage is going to accomplish it. We are building a slowly developing relationship with a man who was insurance commissioner in Connecticut and who therefore would have an interest, but he just recently moved into a CCRC, and he's only now beginning to become aware of what he got himself into, and so he has not yet stepped forward. The other person who might be involved with this is Susan Weiss. She has expressed an interest in working with us to advance this. She was the senior vice president for advocacy for Leading Age, so she understands advocacy. But these are threads that we need to develop, and I think we need to reach a more of maturity in our advocacy before we're ready to do that. So I would suggest that we defer that for now, and that we go with Dan's proposal about either Philadelphia or Washington. In the past, up until we met in Lakeland, Florida, and more recently in Mystic, we did always choose a CCRC in the Washington area so that people could coordinate with the Peak Conference if they wish to attend both. I don't know that many people did attend both, but that was sort of the direction that the organization followed. So if we're not, and Philadelphia is certainly close enough to Washington that people wanted to attend the Peak meeting after or before attending ours, they could easily do it if we coordinated the dates.
Yeah, this is Pete Straub. I'm reasonably certain that I could arrange to sponsor a group here at Greenspring. We are just outside the Beltway in Springfield, Virginia, and the Metro will take you right into town if you want to go. Wow. We also have an arrangement with most of the motels and hotels in this area for a reduced fee for people that are here in connection with our CCRC.
Well, this sounds very tempting. I'm wondering if are people be ready to take Pete up on his suggestion that we meet at Greenspring?
Yes.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm in favor of the D.C. area for a spring meeting, as in the past, and always having a leading age speaker at our meetings. So, we're right there in Washington with somebody from Leading Age can always come on over and be with us.
But it's going to be so easy for flying, for trains, for driving.
Right.
Yeah, really, it's going to be a piece of cake.
Yeah.
That sounds wonderful.
Okay, I don't know if we need a motion. I'm sensing that there's good agreement that
you can do this.
we should take up Pete Straub's proposal and sort of organize the meeting around Greenspring and around Peak.
Great.
Well, if you will give me the date, then I can confirm this by email this week or later.
Great.
It's your call.
I'll confirm. I'll confirm with Sharon Sullivan the peak date, and then get back to you, Pete.
Fine.
Would you also consider the Passover date, which
Yes.
is
Passover and Easter are just...
April 3rd to 11th?
Avoid April 3 to 11 as Passover.
And also whenever Easter is, and I'm not sure when that is
Right.
next year.
Okay. We'll work on that. Good. I'm sure.
And
Pete will
on the
be
list here,
Passover.
excuse me, on the list here it says that the leading age meeting is on 2/15 is in March. It doesn't have a date.
Oh, the peak is in March.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll get all that confirmed and be working with Pete and let you all know so you can put it in your calendars. Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
I think Easter is the 6th of April, as I'm seeing. When's Passover?
The Seder would be
3 to
the
11.
third. The important things are the 3rd and 4th.
3rd and 4th. Okay, so that weekend would probably be out, that first weekend in April. But anyway...
Okay. Good. I think we're on a good track here. Finally, the last item is proposal for improving teleconference meetings. I circulated some material that Joe has shared with us. Joe suggests that it might make these meetings a little easier if the officers, in addition to my proposing an agenda, the officers proposed, you might say, a action. The officers proposed an action component so that the board could approve or modify a proposal rather than just start from scratch. I wonder if people, Joe, am I doing justice to your proposal?
Yes, and I offer as evidence of forming an advisory committee to the board. I offer as evidence the whole discussion this afternoon on the Sunday morning meeting. I think that whole discussion could have been conducted more quickly and much more effectively had there been an advisory group that got together, the information that you already have, much of it in hand, and worked out a proposal and present a proposal to the board. As it is, we get pieces of it, and the entire board is trying to put together a program, and it just doesn't work efficiently, and it's particularly difficult to accomplish in a telephone conversation, let alone a face-to-face conversation.
Right. So,
This is Pete. It seems to me that the president has the option of having a kitchen cabinet, if you will, and setting up such an ad hoc group to give him assistance and advice and come up with ideas and say, hey, these people have met and this was a suggestion.
yeah. Right.
Yeah. And the other issue is that according to bylaws, there is an executive committee that comprised of the officers who are empowered to do that. So,
Well, why not instead of our making a formal thing about this, why don't I take Joe's suggestion as advice, and in the future, I will consult the officers in a conference call. There are 4 of us. That should make a manageable call in advance of the meeting, and I will share with you all the outcome of an officer's suggestion regarding each agenda item.
good.
Let's just try and see how it works.
Sounds good.
We'll Quakerize it.
You bet.
Right.
Okay, well,
Well, in a word, what does Quakerizing mean?
That's when Dan takes all the points of view and puts it into one and implements it.
Anyway, we'll see. I think someone was trying to speak.
It's always, I have found that it's always, and I support the suggestion, by the way, it is always better in a way to have a draft proposal or a draft something, because it directs us towards thinking. We don't have to agree with it, we can change it, but having a draft keeps us usually on target.
Yep.
Good point.
Okay. So I think we all understand this. We probably don't need a motion. We'll try to work in this enhanced way in future meetings and see if we can make good progress that way.
This is Walt Boyer. I have one more comment, please.
Yes, go ahead, Walt. That's fine.
I'm used to seeing a small one-page or half a page on some of the critical issues. You can't do it for all of them, but where there's controversy, potential controversy, I like to see a paragraph on the pros, paragraph on the cons, the position of the officers, and then a recommendation. Now, some of them are not appropriate for it, but some of them they are, and I think that would be appropriate. An email sent out before the meeting so we have a chance to read it and see it before the meeting.
Great.
Good idea.
Sounds good.
Very good. Dan, this is Bob Nicholson. I need to announce and solicit your thoughts, prayers, supports. In 8 hours, I'll have dinner with Catherine Pearson, and she's making a major presentation tomorrow to about 300 people at Mirabella and 8 other communities, and they have asked me to moderate and consider this a NaCCRA presentation to Puget Sound residents.
Good.
Great.
Good work, Jack. Good work.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. You're doing really, really good work. Keep it up.
It goes very well.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. We'll keep you on the forefront of our burners.
You bet.
Good. Okay, friends, are we ready to adjourn? Is there a motion that we adjourn?
I move that the meeting adjourn, Jane.
Second?
The following participant has left the conference.
John Dalsimer.
The following participant has left the conference.
Nicholson,
The following participant has left the conference.
Joe Walton,
The following participant has left the conference.
Walton Boyer.
The following participant has left the conference.
Dan Seeger.
The following participant has left the conference.
Ruth Walsh.
The following participant has left the conference.
Jane Hurley.
The following participant has left the conference.
Susie Moss.
The following participant has left the conference.